100 miles per hour, masked and fearless, Squeeze.Benz turned New York's highways into his personal playground, taunting police and building an army of fans who lived for every near miss. To his online followers, he was a legend, outsmarting the NYPD for months. But behind the viral stunts and clout, one fatal mistake changed everything. How does a kid with a mask become public enemy number one? The answer starts where the myth begins. A black mask and a racing wheel. Those were the trademarks of @Squeeze.Benz. The handle started popping up everywhere, from TikTok to Instagram. He never showed his face. Every clip, every stunt, every police chase came through that single faceless persona. It was not just about hiding from cops. The mask became a brand, a calling card. It turned a teenager from Queens into a legend, an icon for kids who saw New York's highways as their own digital playground. In the world of street racing, anonymity is currency. Squeeze.Benz understood that better than anyone. The mask was not just for protection, it was marketing. It let him become whoever the internet wanted him to be. Fans debated his age, his background, even his accent. The mystery fed the hype. Every time he posted a new clip, BMW M4 drifting in Times Square, a Lamborghini Urus threading through traffic at 120 miles per hour, the follower count spiked. The more he covered his face, the more people wanted to know who he really was. Then came the Tommy G interview, the one that changed everything. Tommy G, a YouTuber known for getting inside subcultures, managed to sit down with Squeeze and his crew. The rules were clear. No real names, no faces, just masks, gloves, and the sound of engines revving somewhere in the background. On camera, Squeeze.Benz leaned into the myth. He did not flinch. When Tommy pressed about running from police, Squeeze shot back. "We are not criminals. We have real jobs. We pay for our cars." His voice was calm, almost bored, as if the danger was nothing new. Another crew member chimed in. "Your 50 or 60 is my 100. That interview did more than rack up views. It legitimized him, not as a random outlaw, but as a content creator. Suddenly, he was no longer just a rumor on car forums. He became a main character in the internet's wildest racing story, and the mask was his ticket to viral stardom. Followers poured in by the thousands. The more the NYPD tried to catch him, the more untouchable he seemed. But every myth has a breaking point, and every mask eventually slips. On New York's highways, the rules of street racing were rewritten by a new code: swimming. In this world, swimming meant slipping through traffic at 120, 130, even 150 miles per hour. It was not just about speed, it was about commitment. No hesitation, no second guessing, no brakes. They called it no Hesse. To outsiders, it sounded reckless. To the crew, it was a daily routine. One member summed it up: "Your 50 or 60 is my 100. The swim team was not a single driver, but a loose crew of masked racers who treated the city's gridlock like a puzzle to solve. They ran coordinated routes, sometimes with multiple chase cars, always with cameras rolling. Every run was a test, not just of skill, but of nerve. The highways of Queens and Jersey became their stage, and every near miss, every brush with the law was another highlight for the feed. But the real fuel was not gasoline, it was the algorithm. Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube did not just distribute their clips, they rewarded the most extreme. Each time Squeeze.Benz threaded a Lamborghini through a 4-foot gap, the view count exploded. Comments flooded in. "Harder next time. You're slippin', bro." The more dangerous the move, the faster the numbers climbed. Overnight, a masked driver could go from a few thousand followers to hundreds of thousands. For the swim team, the only way to stay relevant was to push further. Yesterday's stunt was tomorrow's baseline. The pressure did not just come from fans, it came from inside the crew. If one driver hit 130 on the Cross Bronx, the next had to hit 140. If someone drifted Times Square at midnight, the next clip had to be daytime, riskier, louder. The city became a proving ground, and the algorithm kept score. Every post was a new audition, every run a way to stay on top of the feed. The line between content and crime blurred. For Squeeze.Benz and his crew, danger was not a side effect, it was the product. The more the world watched, the more impossible it became to slow down. Daylight used to be off limits. For months, the swim team ran their games under cover of darkness. Quick runs, empty lanes. The city half asleep. But as the pressure grew, so did the spectacle. Suddenly, Squeeze.Benz was tearing up the streets in broad daylight, pushing the envelope with every upload. Clips showed him sliding a BMW through Times Square at noon, threading a Lamborghini Urus between city buses and delivery trucks, while horns blared and cameras rolled. The comments poured in. "Go faster. Daytime hits only." The bar kept rising. The internet's hunger was bottomless, and Squeeze.Benz was determined to feed it. Each new post had to be louder, riskier, more public. The crew's private dares turned into public challenges, and the city itself became a scoreboard. It wasn't enough to outdrive the cops. Now the goal was to outdo yesterday's numbers. That meant bigger stunts and more eyes watching live. The mask stayed on, but the moves got bolder. The world was watching, and he wanted out every second of it. That's when N3On entered the picture. Known for streaming wild nights and viral moments, N3On brought an audience that dwarfed anything Squeeze had seen before. Their link-up was a collision of two attention machines, each feeding off the other's clout. Together, they teased a new level of chaos, a Lamborghini Urus, high-speed runs, and a camera rolling for every moment. Followers knew something was coming. The hype was impossible to ignore. The city's most notorious driver and one of the internet's most watched streamers, side by side, promising a show no one would forget. Every sign pointed to something big. Daytime stunts, new faces, and a rented supercar built for speed. The line between content and crime blurred until it vanished entirely. The only thing left was to see how far they could go before it all came apart. The Lamborghini Urus cut through traffic on the Grand Central Parkway like it was built for chaos. In the passenger seat, N3On's livestream chat exploded as Squeeze.Benz floored it, slicing between cars at speeds that left no room for error. The city blurred past in broad daylight, every move broadcast in real time to thousands of viewers. The thrill was undeniable until it wasn't. One sharp lane change brought the Urus up behind a yellow taxi. There was a tap, maybe more, but the moment barely registered before disaster struck. A Lexus slammed into the back of the Lamborghini, metal buckling, glass shattering. The camera jolted, N3On's voice spiked in panic, and for a split second, the myth of the untouchable driver shattered. Instead of stopping, Squeeze.Benz stomped the gas. The Urus lurched forward, weaving away from the wreckage and disappearing into the tangle of Queens traffic. The livestream kept rolling, capturing every second of the flight. No exchange with the other drivers. No check for injuries. Just a masked figure fleeing the scene at full throttle, leaving behind a trail of debris and unanswered questions. Clips of the crash spread faster than any previous stunt. Within hours, car forums, news sites, and social media feeds were flooded with slowed-down replays and angry commentary. The tone flipped overnight. What once drew praise for skill now drew outrage for recklessness. Viewers pointed out the taxi driver, the Lexus, the risk to every commuter on that stretch of highway. The chat that once cheered every swerve now filled with disbelief and disgust. For the first time, the digital crowd saw the cost. The same live stream that built Squeeze.Benz's legend became evidence, time-stamped, geo-located, impossible to deny. The city's most wanted street racer had finally crossed a line, and the internet's appetite for spectacle turned into a demand for consequences. A deli in Astoria, Queens, just after noon. A punch thrown, a scuffle, and a call to the NYPD, 114th Precinct. Officers arrived to find a 19-year-old from Queens, Antonio Ginestri, caught in the middle of a routine assault case. But this was not just another name in the system. As detectives ran his details, the puzzle pieces started to fall into place. The face behind months of viral chaos on New York highways finally had a legal identity. The masked driver who had turned the city into his own racetrack was sitting in custody. No mask, no car, no escape. Ghost. The arrest happened on May 16, 2024. Ginestri, known to millions as Squeeze.Benz, had managed to stay ahead of the most determined traffic units in the country. The digital trail he left, clips of high-speed weaving, taunts, and near misses, had fueled a months-long manhunt. But in the end, it was not a highway chase or a midnight stakeout that brought him down. It was a fistfight in a neighborhood deli. What followed was a rapid-fire collaboration between the NYPD and Newark detectives. Social media videos, timestamps, and car features were cross-checked. The same black BMW that danced through Newark streets in April was now tied to Ginestri's name. The Lamborghini Urus crash with N3 on, the Times Square drifts, the Grand Central Parkway hit and run, all of it mapped back to a single teenager from Queens. The myth unraveled in real time. Each clip now evidence, each post another link in the chain. On May 21st, 2024, NYPD Deputy Commissioner Kaz Daughtry made it official. A post on X stamped with authority said, "Squeeze.Benz is in custody, thanks to New York's finest. One of the most prolific street racers in New York City can no longer treat the Big Apple like the Indy 500. To anyone thinking about putting themselves and others in danger, recklessly zooming through the streets of New York City, think again. You will be arrested and your car will be seized. You will face justice." Justice. The city ghost driver was unmasked. Antonio Ginestri, age 19, Queens, New York. The legend that once seemed untouchable was now just another mugshot. For months, the internet had chased a phantom. Now the NYPD had a name, a face, and a long list of charges. The chase was over, but the story was only getting darker. Unmasked. The mask was gone, but the story was not just about reckless driving anymore. As detectives dug deeper, they found a trail that stretched far beyond the highways. In the early hours of February 6, 2024, police in Fairfield, New Jersey responded to an alarm at a Speedway gas station on Route 46. The monitoring station reported a gray SUV speeding away with 3 people inside. When officers arrived, the suspects were already gone, but the break-in was clear: a commercial burglary in the middle of the night. It did not take long for investigators to connect Antonio Ginestri, 19 years old, to that gray SUV. He was not alone. Police identified a 16-year-old CO conspirator, tying the duo to a string of North Jersey robberies that spanned several towns. The Fairfield case was just the beginning. The deeper they looked, the more the charges piled up. According to a New Jersey arrest affidavit filed on May 16, Ginestri allegedly stole $38,950 worth of designer handbags, using a stolen BMW X7 as his getaway car. That same BMW, seen in social media clips tearing up city streets, was now evidence in a high-value theft. Authorities linked him to a string of ATM robberies across the region, painting a picture of organized theft rather than thrill-seeking joyrides. Detectives from Newark and the NYPD Auto Crimes Manhattan Unit did not just rely on eyewitnesses or grainy surveillance. They turned to the very platforms that made Squeeze.Benz famous. Social media videos, live-stream timestamps, and car features were cross-checked against crime reports. Newark Public Safety Director Fritz G. Frage credited his team's sharp technological ingenuity and said the suspect mistakenly believed he would get away with jeopardizing public safety. In March 2024, just weeks before the Delhi arrest, Ginestri pleaded guilty in a separate case involving a stolen motorcycle. The court ordered him to pay $3,000 in restitution, adding another theft to his record. The narrative shifted overnight. The kid who once said, "We are not criminals, we have real jobs, we pay for our cars," now faced charges that went far beyond traffic violations. Prosecutors were not just looking at reckless endangerment. They were building a case for organized property crime. For law enforcement, this was never just about street racing. Newark is not a playground for daredevil drivers seeking social media likes. The mask had sold the myth, but the evidence pointed to something much darker. The legal stakes were no longer measured in speeding tickets or impounded cars. They were measured in felony counts, restitution orders, and the reality that internet fame does not erase a criminal record. Right now, New York's highways are quieter, but the algorithms keep pushing ever-risky stunts to the next generation. As social media rewards speed and spectacle, law enforcement adapts, and the line between content creator and criminal blurs further. The real danger is not just in the chase, it is in who is watching and who is willing to follow. What happens next is already streaming live. Share your thoughts below.